Hello, my dear friends. Well, while I'm trying to kick off the disease, I thought to myself that it would be a good idea to share my linguistic situations I found myself in with you to show that nobody is perfect and that making mistakes while you speak a foreign language isn't the end of the world. It's okay to make mistakes. Even native speakers um, now and then makes them when speaking English. Well, and the teachers of English aren't angels. They aren't perfect at speaking English either. Well, the first which comes to my mind occurred to me when I worked as an interpreter. I had been offered the job in order to help an acquaintance of mine with her negotiations she was going to have with an American businessman who originally came from the state of Texas. Before I continue the story, I would like to underline the fact that even native speakers can hardly make out those who reside in that part of the state, because they tend to swallow nearly half of what they are saying out. Now turn on your imagination to picture the situation. A green-horned guy who hadn't practiced interpreting a lot before was ready to face his first professional fiasco. As soon after the American guy began his part, I immediately came to realize that I had failed to make out even the gist of his speech, not to mention the details. Everything around started to move hundreds times slowly, more slowly than usual, and I also noticed my employers moving their heads towards me to ask me about what their dear American guest had been talking about. With terror, I understood I couldn't cope with the task because of the reasons I just mentioned. Seeing a calamity coming up, the American gave me a chance by resuming the talks, adding some insignificant details, this time articulating all the sounds as they should be. On the basis of the input, I put two and two together to get his message. I signed out with relief and a fateful linguistic cooperation got initiated between me and him. When the talks were over, I came up to him thanking for his assistance. He smiled at me warmly, saying smoothly that I shouldn't be feeling frustrated that much because even his partners living in the north of the country sometimes cannot make him out. My renommee, my professional reputation was saved due to him. Thank you very much, John. Okay. Well, and my first question, I just wanted to answer some questions, okay? And my first question related to this story is the following. Um, is the American's speech comprehended universally throughout the USA? Another linguistic anecdote of mine, being a language expert, took place in another country. Again, I'm in an office, being surrounded by my coworkers who are inwardly divided into two types. Those who whose native language is English make up the first group, while the other staff speak English either with a heavy accent, making lots of mistakes, or even can't speak it at all. So one rainy day, my boss asks me into his office, announcing that in a week I will have to set up for their branch located on a small island to supervise the execution of an important plan. Okay, I have no choice, and at the scheduled time, I arrive at the office where there are about 10 local female employees who can hardly speak English. I immediately get it why the plan execution on time has fallen through. The problem is that they communicate with each other in their local dialect, absolutely ignoring the necessity of performing the plan in English. Also, I understand perfectly well that if I keep on speaking English at the same level I have been using it at the headquarters, it will not contribute to accelerating the process. The only way out is to simplify my English, making the letter closer to theirs as much as possible. So they become so enthusiastic that they have finally started to comprehend my recommendations. But indeed, it helps to minimize the time needed to complete the work. Um, we depart being close friends. Everything is great until one day my boss invites me into his office again. Judging by the long stare, I come to realize that the conversation isn't going to be easy and pleasant. And unfortunately, I'm right thinking that way. What's wrong with you, George? He asks me as soon as I close the door. What's wrong with your English? It has become absolutely horrible. I can't stand the way you have started to express your thoughts. It has become primitive, as though you had gone through a head of emptying procedure. A head emptying procedure. hmm Okay, unless you change the situation, I'm afraid I will have to say goodbye to you. So the moral of the story is the following. Never ever go down in order to match lower standards, otherwise you will have to work out the fingers to the bone to regain the initial higher level. So it took me a while to get it back, actually, as I know those girls asked the boss to offer me another business trip to their branch, but happily, both he and I said no. So my question related to this story is the following. I want you to evaluate this statement, whether it is true, false, or not given. The statement itself is the following. We hated each other because of the linguistic wall of misunderstanding between us. True, false, not given. Again, I will repeat the statement. We hated each other because of the linguistic wall of misunderstanding between us. True, false, not given. So next, I hope that you haven't got tired of my stories yet. Imagine the following station. Me and my colleagues are standing on the roof of a skyscraper somewhere in Asia, where our bosses are going to conduct business talks with overseas comrades who offer a quite promising offer. My chief is on cloud nine because in her imagination she has already raked it in by striking a bargain with them. However, while I was interpreting her those guys' offers whispering into her ear, I couldn't get rid of the sensation that there was something wrong, something fishy about them. But I couldn't get what exactly was wrong about them. I looked up, staring at him, trying to feel it, but whenever I did it, mm, or whenever he felt I was watching him more attentively, he would avert his face. Finally, I got it. I understood what had been attracting my attention to. It was the dissonance between what his portfolio said about him as a businessman and the way he was speaking English. The thing was that the document said he had graduated from a university, but his speech was full of specific expressions mainly used by representatives of definite social circles known as backstreet guys. If he had gone to university, he couldn't have spoken English that way. When I told my boss about my premonitions, she didn't pay attention to my comments, saying that the guy seemed to be so charming that what I had told her just couldn't be true. Mhm. So the representatives of another side of the negotiations took the floor, allowing the rest of us to have a short break. So I happened to be standing right at the brink of the roof, enjoying the breeze, when he showed up from nowhere, saying he wanted to talk to me. There was something threatening in his eyes, but I thought he wouldn't do anything in presence of so many people around. He started to talk about the Lord, that one's life way on earth isn't the last step, that there are other parallel universes. He continued to talk about that type of things when he suddenly fell silent. He bowed a bit towards me, whispering and hissing like a snake. You don't even try to tell your big mummy a word about me, otherwise you will immediately find yourself in one of the parallel worlds I've just told you about. Needless to say that I did say to her about the conversation I had had. In a fortnight, when we were back home, she called me saying I had been right, suspecting him. A friend of hers living in New York had sent her a copy of the American Tribune newspaper, where the guy was reported to have been detained for illegal transactions. We were lucky not to have had a deal with him. So, and my question related to this story, what might have happened to me? Okay, the next. I am 21 and I'm not in my native lands, but miles away, in an office, having just been employed as another office plankton unit. It's my first overseas experience of co-working with representatives of other cultures. I see a super duper PC for the first time in my life. I'm supposed to be good at using such office computer software as the Word and Excel. I can type a text and even can change something about the way it looks. For example, I can underline or even bold a part of it. I can even change the color, making it look a bit better. That's nearly everything I can do, but another problem is looming on the horizon. It is my inability to understand the office employees' speech patterns, as most of them have a heavy, heavy accent. They all like mine, but I barely comprehend theirs. So that's the catch. And there is only one of them by name Lydia whose way of speaking English is superb because she has gone to college somewhere in London. She's my English language heroine. I do like the way she speaks it. Through many hours, I listen to her speak English to adopt the same way. I've got addicted to her. If she doesn't come to work, I feel blue. Many colleagues of mine laugh at me behind my back, being sure I have fallen in love with her. But it's bullshit, because I'm in love not with her, but with her speaking skills. As it usually comes about, in an event, putting off one's rosy glasses takes place unexpectedly. One day, I'm asked to find out some information from Lydia. She replies she's got much work on her plate and she writes only one word on a piece of paper as the answer to my question. I pick it up. I pick it up and return to my desk. When I look down at what she has written down, I feel confused because there is only one word and it's been written so unintelligibly that I can't make it out. 1 hour has passed, another, but I haven't got it yet. I feel that I'm so stupid as I haven't managed to understand the short word she has jotted down. She has jotted down. Okay. By the end of the working day, I come up to her asking to articulate the word. Her eyes are full of surprise. Couldn't you get at what I wrote down? She asked. No, I couldn't, was my answer. I wrote the word yes, she said. Well, the illusion concerning her being a goddess of English on my Olymp was over. Though she had given me much positive, she hadn't been aware of that. In her eyes, I was a complete imbecile. Okay, so my question to this story about this story, what did Lydia seem to think of me? And another question related to the same story. Why did I use the word heroine when describing Lydia? Think twice before you are ready to come up with the answer to my question. The second question is much more challenging. Again, why did I choose the word heroine when describing Lydia? Okay, thank you. The next one. Well, I seldom enjoy having summer holidays, but once I decided to set off for an oriental country to have a rest there. To get there, I was supposed to cover a part of the route by bus. The bus was double-decked. It was huge and comfortable. I occupied the very first seat next to the bus window. We were going round the city for a while and then we got into the jungle. The view was breathtaking as I had never seen that type of landscape before. There were gigantic palms on either side of the path. The emerald foliage of the trees was amazing. Now and then I caught a sight of some local fauna species. For example, one of them, which astonished me, was a striped squirrel jumping from one branch to another, from branch to branch. It was somewhere in the thick of the jungle when the bus driver made an amazing announcement, which shocked me. In the beginning, I even thought to myself that I had misinterpreted his words. Here is what he told the passengers. Dear friends, thank you very much for your decision to make the trip on our bus. We hope that you will enjoy the journey. It will take us roughly 6 hours to arrive at the destination. Also, you can enjoy the soft drinks available in our bar. On the way to the town, we will be going through the jungle, and unfortunately, we're likely to come across some sort of guerrillas. And if they ask you for something which belongs to you, I strongly recommend that you present them the thing with a smile on your face. After the words, the beauty of the jungle disappeared somewhere immediately. I stopped feeling cool. I stopped seeing the beauty of the jungle. Well, happily, nothing like that happened on the way, but the sensation of on earth paradise was gone. Okay, I've got two questions related to this story. The first one, what impossible thing did I mention in the story? Again, what impossible thing did I mention in the story? And my next story, the next question. Oh my God, it slipped my mind. Hold on a sec. Oh yeah. Again, it's a linguistic question. In order to answer the second question related to this story, you should work with a dictionary. Who was the bus driver afraid of to come across, and why? It's a very, very difficult question, believe me. Um, Yeah, it's play on the words. In order to answer this question, you should take into consideration the play on the words. Okay, then another situation. Well, another overseas airport where I'm standing in the line to pass the passport control. I've just been given a form to fill in the blanks. one of them asks about my nationality. Okay, I write down my national identification. Then I come up to the checkpoint where a captain looks down at a paper. A second later, he scrutinizes my passport, frowning. He picks up a telephone, saying something in the local dialect. Suddenly, I understand nothing except for the thing that there is something wrong about my documents. A minute later, another officer shows up, asking me to follow him. Okay, finally, I find myself in an office where the man says to me that they have to detain me because I have given the wrong information concerning my origin. I'm very astonished to hear that. To my question, what makes him think so, he replies that I have concealed the fact that I am Persian. But I'm not Persian, I reply. My passport says that I am Roman. Saying that, I indicate the relevant passport page verifying that I am Roman. To my attempt to change the station, the officer points to the very first page of the passport, which says that my nationality is Persian. Happily, I come upon a good idea to invite a local interpreter to prove my words. They have one who confirms that indeed I am Roman. Then we both simultaneously come to the same conclusion that I've been confused with the two terms, nationality and citizenship. In modern passports, nationality doesn't imply one's real national identification, but belonging to a particular country. For example, if you are, okay, let's be Bulgarian, but if you happen to have been born in Azerbaijan, You stop being Bulgarian. You become Azerbaijanian. Maybe on a separate page of your passport, your national identification will be specified that you are Bulgarian. But at the international level, you will stay Azerbaijanian. Okay. Um, Happily, the translator happened to be around that day. I mean to say that unless he hadn't been found, who knows what better life experience I would have had. Okay, and again, I've got two questions related to this story. The first question is, why was I detained? Why did they want to arrest me? That's the first question. And in order to answer the second question, which traditionally is much, much more challenging, I strongly recommend that you listen to the story again in order to point to the word which makes the whole story impossible. Only one word, which makes the story absolutely mm, free of logic. Thank you very much for your attention, guys. I do hope that you are all right, that you are not sick, and that you enjoy your summer holiday somewhere where it's hot. Thank you. Bye. And feel free to write down your answers.